All right, picture this for a second. You are standing right in the center of Stonehenge.
Okay, yeah, I can picture it. The big gray rocks.
Right, exactly. You know the visual, the massive, imposing rings of ancient, weathered gray rock on this misty plain in England.
Classic textbook image.
Right. But now I want you to just completely erase that gray from your mind.
Oh, really? Erase the gray.
Yeah. What if I told you that right near the center of that formation, there used to be a 16-foot tall, brilliantly green sandstone monument?
A green monument at Stonehenge.
Yes. And not just like a smooth green stone. We are talking about a towering pillar completely encrusted with glittering garnets and sparkling mica.
Wow. Shifts Stonehenge from being this, primitive calendar made of heavy rocks to something resembling a massive, highly calibrated optical instrument.
Exactly, an optical instrument. And that towering green gem-encrusted stone is really just one of the astonishing details we are unpacking today.
And there are a lot of them.
Oh, so many. We are doing a deep dive into a text that takes basically everything you thought you knew about human biology, medicine, and history, and just totally flips it on its head.
It really does.
So today, our mission is to meticulously unpack a singular, fascinating text. We want to understand the intricate and, frankly, mind-bending relationship between human health and the electromagnetic spectrum.
Right. And we are not just doing some broad, high-level summary today for you. The claims made in this text are so sweeping and, honestly, so contrary to modern pharmacological medicine that we have to explore them painstakingly.
Yeah, we can't just skim this.
No. We almost need to go sentence by sentence. We really need to drag out the nuances here. The text we are examining today is the book Cracking the Code of Light, and it is so important to state clearly right up front that the author of this book is Mohammad Nasirrudin Azeemi.
Yes, Mohammad Nasirrudin Azeemi. And I have to say, before I even got to the first page, I was just staring at the cover in total disbelief.
The cover alone is a lot to process.
It is. Right there on the front. Azeemi distills the entirety of human suffering into a single formula. I mean, the book, Cracking the Code of Light, said, quote, imperfect flow of colors plus imbalanced electromagnetic field equals disease and problems.
It is an incredibly bold premise to just put right on the cover.
It is staggering. I literally gasped. Because, we are so conditioned to view our bodies as these strictly chemical engines.
Right, you get a headache, you swallow a chemical pill.
Exactly. But to reduce all disease from a common cold to chronic life-threatening conditions down to an equation of light and magnetism, I mean, that requires a complete paradigm shift.
It really does.
Yeah.
And to understand how Mohammad Nasirrudin Azeemi arrives at that equation, we have to follow the text back to the very dawn of human illness.
Right back to the beginning.
Yeah. The book opens by posing some really fundamental questions that we almost never think to ask, like who was the first ill person in human history?
Right.
And who first thought of curing the sick?
Which is such an interesting thought exercise because our modern assumption is just that it was trial and error, right?
For sure. Like some early human ate a root, it made their stomach feel better, and boom, medicine was born.
Exactly. But the book Cracking the Code of Light said that Hippocrates and Galen believed that the search for a cure is actually divine.
Divine, not scientific.
Right. And it goes even deeper. It elaborates that Abu Jabir Maghrabi and the intellectuals of his era described the knowledge of medicine as a revelation bestowed upon seekers by God through his angels.
This is a crucial foundational point for you, the listener, to grasp here. The author is presenting the origin of medicine not as a scientific experiment at all.
No, not at all.
It is presented as a literal cosmic download of knowledge.
The cosmic download, yes, that is exactly how it reads. And to back this up, the book Cracking the Code of Light said that practicing medicine was common among renowned wise men and prophets.
It lists quite a few of them, actually.
It does. It specifically lists the wise man Luqman, Prophet Daud, who we know as David Prophet Solomon, Prophet Moses, and Prophet Isaiah.
All practicing this divine medicine.
Yeah. And it even states that this divine method of treatment is still common among Muslims today, having existed in the era of Prophet Muhammad.
What is truly fascinating here, though, is how the text bridges this divine revelation with the physical, measurable properties of the universe.
It doesn't just leave it as magic.
Exactly. It doesn't leave healing in the realm of abstract miracles. It anchors it firmly in physics. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that colors are the material portrayal of cosmic energy, and that this specific energy guarantees the existence of life.
And it traces the application of this energy through all the heavy-hitting ancient
Right,
civilizations.
the major empires.
Yeah, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, the ancient Greeks, and the Persians. The text claims they were all allegedly utilizing this cosmic energy through color.
And the author provides a very specific historical timeline for this scientific lineage, which I found fascinating.
Oh, this part completely blew my mind.
Rightly so. For instance, the text discusses Abu Ali al-Hussein ibn Abdullah ibn Sina, who is widely known in the West as Avicenna.
Yes, the famous philosopher and physician.
Exactly. The text highlights his work in 980 AD in his famous book, Al-Qanun, or the Canon. And the book Cracking the Code of Light said Avicenna predicted that if the perception of light is due to the emission of particles by a luminous source, then the speed of light must be finite.
Okay, let me just pause there, because I really want to make sure you, the listener, catch how absolutely wild that is.
It is a massive intellectual leap.
It's insane. In 980 AD, way before quantum physics, way before photons were established concepts, Avicenna is conceptualizing light as a stream of emitted particles with a finite speed.
And the author is using this to argue that these ancient healers understood that light was a physical substance.
Right. Not just illumination, but stuff.
Exactly. A tangible thing that could carry specific frequencies of healing energy right into the human body. Even back in 500 BC, the text notes that Pythagoras, the Greek mathematician, was seeking cures specifically through light.
Which brings us to a very practical question, right?
How did they actually do it?
Yeah. If you are an ancient society and you understand that specific color frequencies deliver specific cosmic healing energies, how do you physically administer that to your population?
Especially without modern technology. You don't have lasers or electrical light beds.
Right. So what do? You build it into your walls. You literally turn your architecture into a giant medical device.
Precisely. The text details how early churches functioned essentially as clinics.
Like hospitals, almost.
Yeah. How do they cure the sick and disabled? Well, because their stained glass windows were designed to emit healing red, green, and yellow rays.
That's like turning the sun into a customized intravenous drip.
That is a great way to put it.
The sunlight filters through the glass, and the specific color wavelength just washes over the patient. And the Egyptians, man, they took this to an entirely different level.
I really did.
The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that Heliopolis, the capital of the 15th nome of Lower Egypt and the seat of worship for the sun god Ra, was famous for solving medical problems using colors and light.
And the scale of their operation is just quite remarkable.
Yeah.
The text describes how they built these great halls of colors in their temples.
All halls dedicated to it.
Yeah. They would engineer the architecture so that the intense sunlight dispersed into a colorful spectrum. And each individual hall was mathematically attuned to a specific color frequency.
So if you had an ailment requiring, say, the frequency of blue light, the priests would just prescribe you some time in the blue hall.
It is incredibly sophisticated.
It is. And the text even mentions Herodotus, calling him the father of heliotherapy, which is the practice of medical therapy involving exposure to sunlight.
But, if we follow this architectural logic to its ultimate conclusion, we have to return to that astonishing claim about Stonehenge you mentioned at the start of our deep dive.
Yes. Okay, listeners, I was absolutely floored by this. I literally must have read this sentence 5 times because I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me.
It is quite a departure from the history books.
To say the least. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that at the near center of Stonehenge, there once erected a beautiful green-colored, 16-foot-tall attractive sandstone decorated with garnets and mica.
It is such a vivid departure from those bleak gray stones we're all so used to seeing in photos.
Exactly. And the specific placement of this stone is what really matters here. The book explicitly claims that, surprisingly, this stone was not positioned at the precise center of Stonehenge.
Which you would expect it to be if it was just a monument.
Right. But why wasn't it? Because its geometric symmetry was less important than its precise angle. The text states this exact position enabled the energy of sun and moonlight to pass through the stone with a required angle to be used for healing purposes.
The author's arguing that Stonehenge, much like those great halls of Heliopolis, was essentially a vast mechanism for catching and refracting celestial light.
It's a machine.
Yeah, an architectural machine. And the text notes that the ancient Mayans used light for healing in very similar mathematically precise ways.
Okay, so if these ancient civilizations went to such unbelievable lengths, like hauling 16-foot green sandstones across plains and encrusting them with garnets just to harness light, we have to ask the next logical question.
What is actually happening inside us?
Yes. What happens when that light hits our skin? How does the body use it?
The text transitions beautifully here from ancient architecture to biological mechanisms by quoting Dr. Jacob Lieberman.
What does he say?
Well, the book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that Dr. Lieberman states, quote, "Since sunlight powers the body and guides its movement and physiological function, it's fair to say that light and life are inseparable."
And this leads the author to introduce a brilliant, though honestly deeply troubling concept.
The idea of what we are starving ourselves of.
Exactly. We were all terrified of malnutrition, right? We obsess over it. We read the labels on our food, we filter our drinking water, we buy expensive air purifiers for our homes.
But we completely ignore our light intake.
Completely. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that while we are constantly aware of ingesting polluted air, unhealthy food, and unclean water, the most important and obvious nutrient light has been overlooked. We completely ignore mal-illumination.
Mal-illumination. That is such a striking term.
It really is.
It's the idea that light is not just something that, helps you see the room around you. It is a literal nutrient that your cells metabolize. Starving your body of light is akin to starving it of vitamin C.
And the consequences of this starvation, according to the author, are catastrophic. I'm going to be honest, I practically shouted when I read this next statistic because I just could not fathom how it could be true.
It's a heavy one.
It is. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that the fourth major cause of death after cancer, stroke, or heart disease is lack of exposure to the sun.
The fourth leading cause of death. It is a massive, shocking assertion.
I mean, how do you even begin to measure that as a distinct cause of death? A lack of sun.
Well, the author's logic here is that light deficiency causes cascading systemic failures.
Okay, walk me through that.
If light is the fundamental power source for physiological function, as Dr. Lieberman suggested, then removing that power source compromises everything else. The immune system, the nervous system, cellular regeneration. It basically makes the body susceptible to everything else.
I see. And the author provides a very tangible example of this happening in hospitals, actually.
Right, the glass window observation.
Yeah. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that sunlight kills bacteria even after passing through glass windows. It points out that patients in hospitals with well-sunlit rooms recover sooner than those in rooms with no or little sunlight.
And the reason for that difference?
The book states it is because of increased bacteria levels in the less illuminated hospitals. The sunlight is literally sanitizing the room and nourishing the patient simultaneously.
Which naturally raises another massive question.
Yeah.
If light is a vital nutrient, what happens when we trap growing children in improperly lit environments, like schools?
Oh, man. The school study. Yes. The text explores this by detailing a landmark 1938 study.
A Texas study.
Yes, the coordinated classroom. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that Dr. Darrell Boyd Harmon led this long-range comprehensive program initiated by the Texas Department of Health.
And they monitored these children for quite a while, didn't they?
They monitored children in schools over a full 6-month period, looking specifically at the effects of light distribution.
And when they corrected the improper distribution of light in these classrooms, the reduction in health problems was phenomenal.
The data is so specific, it's wild. Let's really look at these numbers because it's hard to believe. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said visual difficulties reduced by 65%.
Which makes sense, right? Better light, better vision.
Sure, but then it gets crazy. Nutritional problems reduced by 47.8%. Chronic infections reduced by 43.3%. Postural problems reduced by 25.6%, and chronic fatigue reduced by 55.6%.
Let's unpack the mechanism there because, postural problems seems totally disconnected from light, right?
Yeah, how does a desk lamp fix your spine?
But think about it. If the lighting is poor, children are constantly squinting, leaning forward, and twisting their little bodies to see their desks or the chalkboard.
Right. Oh, that makes so much sense. And if they're sitting twisted like that for 8 hours a day, their organs are compressed, their breathing becomes shallow.
Exactly. Which leads directly to the 55.6% reduction in chronic fatigue when you fix it.
It is all connected. Changing the light changed their posture, which changed their breathing, which changed their energy levels and digestion, hence the massive drop in nutritional problems and infections.
Precisely. And this period, the late 1930s, is described by the text as the golden age of light therapy.
It really seemed like a revolution was happening.
It was. The author introduces several titans who were pioneering this non-intrusive science.
Yeah, these were serious scientists, not just fringe figures. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said a foundation was established by researchers like Niels Finsen from Copenhagen.
A Nobel laureate.
Yes, this guy won the very first Nobel Prize for Medicine and Physiology in 1903. For what? For successfully treating tuberculosis with ultraviolet light.
It wasn't witchcraft. It was Nobel Prize-winning medicine.
Absolutely.
Oh.
The text also details Din Shah, who invented the spectrochrome.
Ah, the spectrochrome. For the listener, a spectrochrome was essentially a machine with a strong, incandescent light source that utilized very specific color filters.
Like a projector.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It was designed to project precise frequency wavelengths directly onto a patient's body to harmonize their cellular imbalances.
It's just like the Egyptian Great Halls, but miniaturized for a modern clinic.
That's exactly what it was. And the text mentions Dr. Harry Riley Spitler, too.
Right, the optometrist. He became the modern father of colored light phototherapy through the eyes, utilizing the optic nerve as a direct pathway to the brain's control centers.
The clinical results these guys were getting were undeniably powerful, which leads to the most tragic and critical pivot point in the entire text.
I was literally screaming this at the book while reading. Like, if we were curing tuberculosis with UV light and fixing kids' chronic fatigue in Texas, why did it all disappear?
It just vanished.
Yeah, why isn't my doctor prescribing a session with a spectrochrome today?
Well, the text blames a massive, sudden paradigm shift toward pharmacological dominance. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that a turn of events pushed light therapy behind the scenes for many years.
What was the event?
It specifically points to Gerhard Domack, a German biochemist. He won a Nobel Prize for the positive treatment of bacterial infections with a drug called sulfanilamide.
The sulfa drug, the grandfather of modern antibiotics.
Precisely. Once you could just swallow a pill to kill a bacteria, the text explains that the medical establishment paid no homage to the non-intrusive discoveries of light therapy.
It just became obsolete almost overnight.
Completely. In fact, the book Cracking the Code of Light said that light therapy, once considered a miracle cure, became regarded as witchcraft. It was forced entirely underground.
Witchcraft. That is insane. And this is where Mohammad Nasirrudin Azeemi takes a massive philosophical stand that honestly left me speechless.
The part about the bacteria.
Yes. We are entirely accustomed to the idea of the war on germs. But the book Cracking the Code of Light said it is a shame we didn't realize that our lifestyles, rather than bacteria, are the cause of most diseases.
The text fundamentally challenges the premise of modern antibiotics here.
It really does.
It argues that bacteria are not invading armies, but natural elements of our environment that only cause disease when our own internal electromagnetic fields are imbalanced due to lack of light.
And the analogy the book uses here is so profound. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said, quote, "Waging a war against bacteria is like waging a war against ourselves."
Which is a heavy thought.
And it explains this through the concept of attention acting as a fertilizer. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that we give life to anything we pay attention to. Any type of attention given to something brings it to life, exaggerates its size, and acts like fertilizer.
The implication being that by obsessing over bacteria and fighting them chemically, we actually empower them.
We watered the weeds. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that bacteria respond just like humans in reaction to antibiotics. They become stronger, gradually develop resistance, and finally evolve into new strains we can neither identify nor fight.
It's the superbug dilemma.
Yes, it makes a chilling observation. All the resistant strains of bacteria and highly evolved viruses have developed since Domack's discovery in 1939.
The author is arguing that our pharmacological crusade literally created the superbugs. And worse, this shift caused a profound psychological separation between humans and nature. It created what the text calls sun phobia.
Sun phobia. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said it asks what nature says about all this, noting that the human race has evolved under natural sunlight for 5 million years.
5 million years of sun exposure.
Right. Are we supposed to dismiss 5 million years of evolution because modern science doesn't understand the supreme wisdom of nature?
The text paints a grim picture of our modern alienation from our primary power source.
It really does. It points out how absurd our modern hiding is. Think about it. We live in houses with no ultraviolet light.
Yeah.
We wear glasses that block UV, we commute in cars that block UV, we sit in offices with no UV.
We are constantly shielding ourselves.
And then, if we dare to go outside, we slather our bodies in chemical sunscreens out of fear of these, quote, hazardous rays. We have totally isolated ourselves from the cosmic energy that sustains us.
And according to the author, this isolation is the root of modern suffering.
Yep.
To structure this, the text meticulously outlines two major categories for the causes of diseases. And remember, as we unpack this, we are impartially reporting the direct assertions of the book here.
Right, exactly. We are just examining how the author constructs this worldview, not endorsing it as medical advice. So the book Cracking the Code of Light said the first major category is the place of work and residence in untidy, dark, and small places with improper sources of fresh air and water.
Which is the physical side we've been talking about, the mal-illumination.
Right. But the second category is where the text expands well beyond physics into the psychological and spiritual realm.
The spiritual tension.
Yeah. The book Cracking the Code of Light said the second cause is a continuous emotional, sexual, mental, and nervous tension. It explicitly defines this tension as insecurity, materialism, fear, and a lack of knowledge about the difference between body and soul.
And when you combine physical light starvation with this immense spiritual and emotional tension, the author makes an incredibly stark claim.
I was just staring at the page when I read this part.
It's intense.
The book Cracking the Code of Light said that ignorance in the use of light has caused people various permanent physical and psychological diseases, such as cancer, AIDS, and insomnia.
It is a provocatively heavy statement.
Hmm.
The author is directly attributing some of the most devastating complex diseases of our modern era, not to a random chemical failure, but to our absolute ignorance of light and our profound disconnection from our soul.
Which perfectly bridges us into the final and arguably most beautiful section of our deep dive today.
The cosmic light.
Yes. The text moves beyond the physical UV rays and stained glass windows and steps fully into the deeply spiritual dimensions of cosmic light. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that our soul is the source that cascades the sprinkling colorful lights to nourish our bodies.
Think about that mechanism for a second.
Mm.
The soul is not just an abstract concept here.
No, it's functional.
It is the central prism. It catches the divine cosmic energy and cascades it down into colorful physical frequencies to literally feed our biology.
To explain this spiritual anatomy, the text draws on Sufi mysticism. It introduces a great Sufi of the modern time, Al-Sheikh Muhammad Rahim Bawa Muhaiyaddeen.
A very revered figure.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it references his deeply profound book, The Map of the Journey to God.
Here, the text introduces the concept of Gnanam.
Yes.
Yeah.
The book Cracking the Code of Light said Gnanam means to understand the aspects of light. And the scale of what this Sufi master describes is just, it is beyond human comprehension.
It is vast.
The text lists all these different types of light. It asks, is it the electric light? Is it magnetic light? The sound light of demons?
The sound light of demons.
I know, right? What does that even look like? Then it goes on. The light of fire, the sun, the moon, stars, lightning, mirrors, candles, gems.
It illustrates that our entire universe is just a saturated fabric of countless visible and invisible light frequencies.
And then it gives us an exact number. The specificity of this number is what had me reeling.
It's remarkably specific.
The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that there are exactly 400 trillion, 10,000 glitters and lights.
400 trillion.
400 trillion and 10,000. These glitters and lights exist in the darkness, in the eye, in the face, in the body.
Yet, even with 400 trillion lights illuminating the cosmos, the text arrives at a very grounding philosophical conclusion of what we should actually be seeking.
Right, because not all light is the ultimate answer. The book, Cracking the Code of Light, said that all the glitters that are seen, whether it is electricity, magnetism, or the light from a gem, none of them can be called the light. Why? Because all light that can be changed is temporary.
The physical frequencies, even the ones curing illness in the great halls of Egypt or the clinics of Texas, are ultimately temporary material tools.
Just tools.
Right. The ultimate goal, the text asserts, is the search for the light of truth. The light of endless, perfect purity that never diminishes.
It closes this profound journey with a final prayer from another mystical text, The Tree That Fell to the West. The prayer asks God to protect and sustain the true light within the heart. It asks to destroy all sicknesses and diseases and let them exist only in the form of light, perfectly protected and sustained.
It is a remarkable synthesis, really. Mohammad Nasirrudin Azeemi takes us from Avicenna's particle physics in 980 AD through the geometry of Stonehenge and the clinical data of the 1938 Texas classroom studies, all the way to the breathtaking spiritual anatomy of the Sufi mystics.
It ties it all together.
It does. The text presents a unified worldview where the physical frequency of color and the eternal purity of the soul are essentially the exact same mechanism for human healing.
It is a total paradigm shift. It challenges you to look at every window, every sunbeam, and every emotional tension in your body in a completely new way.
Absolutely.
And it leaves you with a really provocative thought to mull over today as you go about your life. If you are, as this text so passionately asserts, fundamentally a being powered by light, what kind of light diet are you going to consume today?
Are you going to keep starving yourself in the artificial dark?
Exactly. Or are you going to step out into the spectrum to nourish your body and your soul? Thanks for watching and listening to this podcast, which will definitely enhance your knowledge and will change your vision towards your health and its cure through colors. Like the video, subscribe the channel, and forward it to minder people. Allah Hafiz.